Well, it's just gone 7 a.m. here at Polentswa, and we're getting ready to get an early start this morning. We've got a long drive ahead, and it's quite chilly once again this morning. I feel like it hasn't been as cold as some of the previous nights, but it's still cold. I think it's still close to 0 degrees. Even the jet boil is struggling to boil the water this morning. But yeah, let's get this done. Let's get everything packed up, and let's hit the road. Pack-up procedure here inside our camper is pretty straightforward. Everything obviously goes in the drawers close up. We've got our big clothes bags which sit up top of the shelf where the camera is now. When the roof pops down, those have to go somewhere else. So normally these, just before we leave, just get popped down in the center aisle here, and then we've got camp chairs that go in their bags and go here on top of the fridge. We're also carrying extra wood, so we've got our 2 woods on the roof in the front of the vehicle, 2 crates of wood, which is actually quite a lot of wood, but we're going to be needing wood every night for a whole group of people, so we're going to be carrying extra bags in here. And then obviously we're carrying some extra camping mattresses for people and stuff like that. So this area normally wouldn't be packed above the actual tabletops here, but we've got the space, so we're going to make use of it. And that's about it. Everything's going to be in its place. Tent will come down, roof will come down, lock everything up on the road. Let's go. Here we go, guys. This is the one that we've been looking for. We're going to cruise down to Nossob. We're going to stock up on some firewood. We're going to fill our water tanks, throw away all the rubbish we have, and maybe get some snacks for the road and refuel. And then the long journey to Matopi begins. Yeah, this is kind of the one that I've been waiting for the whole trip. So hopefully, well, I know it's not going to disappoint, so I don't even need to say that. But yeah, stay with us. It's going to be a good one. Let's orientate ourselves before we get lost in the action of today's journey. We are in the Kalahari Transfrontier Park, which spans 38,000 square kilometers, and as the name suggests, straddles the border of South Africa and Botswana. We've been on the road for 10 days already, but we've only been flirting with the Botswana side of the park, having stayed in 2 of the Botswana camps which lie just inside the border. However, over the next few days we'll be going deep into this incredible country as we set our sights on a series of pans in the Mabuasehube section of the park. The Mabuasehube Reserve is pretty well established, with a network of sand tracks connecting all these pans and campsites, and we'll be exploring this entire region in the days to come. But in order to get to this area, we have to drive about 150 kilometers through some of the most untouched and remote land in sub-Saharan Africa, as we hop on what is called the BOSO Trail, BOSO for short, which connects Nossob to the BOSO Pan, with a halfway camp called Matopi sitting somewhere in the middle. Today's drive will take us from our camp in Polentswa along the Nossob River to Nossob Camp, where we will resupply before starting the 90-kilometer journey to Matopi on the BOSO Trail. We plan to make quick work of the journey to Nossob, a windy 61-kilometer graded road. It's very corrugated at the moment, and we watch Mark and Tina in front of us slipping and sliding around, but we keep on trudging. It's a little bit bumpy. At Nossob, we fill all our fuel tanks, jerry cans and water tanks, knowing that this will be the last fuel and water we'll be able to get for the next 5 days. And with the tire pressures dropped way down for the dune crossings ahead, we are ready. Well, here we go. We're just leaving Nossob. We've refueled and got all the stuff that we need for the next few days in the wilderness. It's starting to feel real now. This is what we came here for. Let's do it. We have now crossed the Nossob River, which forms the border between South Africa and Botswana, and we leave it behind us for the very last time
as we swap the white riverbed dust for the thick red sand of the Kalahari dunes. We have 90 kilometers of 4x4 driving up ahead, and a satellite image of the first 10 kilometers or so tells an interesting story. The section we're in now features red dunes running parallel to each other, which our road mostly avoids, except for this one here, which I'm going to call the Gatekeeper. If you can't get over this one, you should probably just turn around, because it does get more challenging afterwards. To the east of the Gatekeeper, the road flattens out for a kilometer or two, but the landscape slowly changes as the sand becomes whiter, the dunes become more like dimples than parallel strips, and the vegetation changes as more bushes appear. These dimply dunes may not be as high as the parallel dunes, but the thing is that there's just no way around them. You have to just go over them, and there are hundreds of them. We're still in the easy section at the moment with the red sand and slowly getting used to the violent shaking as we find a speed and gear that we're all comfortable with and grow accustomed to the new environment. We come to a small depression and up ahead, the Gatekeeper.
So there you go, our first little dune. That was fun. This is actually right at the beginning, so we have no idea what lies ahead, but I have a feeling it's not going to be too bad. Sand isn't like so soft that you get stuck in it easily. It's just very sort of cross axle ruts, so it does test how firmly you've secured everything in the back, but not too bad. Lots of fun. I'm going to keep going and see what happens. There's some steenbokkies on the right.
It's crazy to see how many prints are on this ground over here.
The terrain's actually changing a bit as we go further away from the Nossob river. In the river valley, it's very sort of white, chalky, sort of talcum powder surface. A lot of dust kicked up when you drive, and then just a lot of sort of kameeldoorn trees, but spread apart from each other. A lot of open space and not that much grass. as we've climbed into the dunes, we've noticed more and more long grass, sort of almost a meter high, very sort of yellowy color, like a line would just blend into it, and then a lot more sort of bush close in. So it's becoming more of sort of a bushveld environment and less of a Kalahari dune environment. So yeah, who knows, maybe when we get closer to Matopi and Mabua, it'll be completely different, but that's part of the fun of it, not knowing what lies ahead and just discovering stuff along the way.
About 10 kilometers in, and we've now left most of the red sand behind us as we reach what I earlier called the Dimply Dunes. I had watched a few videos on YouTube where guys had struggled to get over these dunes, even with big Nissan Patrols and 300 series Land Cruisers, but most of them were pulling camping trailers. None of us really struggled to get up here, even with all the weight that we're carrying, and I really do believe that it's as simple as deflating your tires properly and avoiding trailers if you can help it. The biggest challenge for me wasn't finding traction or needing power, but rather trying to find a speed where I didn't shake everything to pieces over the cross-axle ruts. These ruts only exist because of people driving with tires that are too hard, so please air down before driving this road. It's hard to give a number because every setup is different, but I'm at about 1 bar in the front and 1.1 at the back, and could have probably gone even lower if I needed more traction. I notice on Guy GPS that there's a kink in the trail, which can only mean one thing out here. There's a big dune ahead, and whoever made this track was trying to find its lowest point to cross. Once again, with the wonders of modern mapping, we can see all of this in detail. The 5 or so kilometers leading up to this dune is probably the most picturesque part of the trail in my opinion, with constant hills and valleys and many twists and turns. The road also breaks into different routes over many of these dunes, so we can each choose which route we want to tackle. Of course, the safe way to do this is one at a time, just in case someone gets stuck halfway and needs to reverse back.
Jason, how's the drive going?
I don't think there's a mark on that camera, buddy.
There is a mark, it's just not a good mark.
Mark, do you know who Matt Walsh is? With your glasses on you and your bark, you look like Matt Walsh a bit.
One of the keys to driving up dunes is to keep enough momentum and to avoid turning your wheels too much. Nicole gives it a little more juice on her second attempt, and with the front wheels straight, she cruises up easily. This is that last big dune, the one that whoever created this track was trying to avoid. Nicole is keeping good speed up here and making easy work of it, but we hit a really bumpy section a little too fast, and yep, that's my spare wheel falling off. I didn't notice it at first, but at the top of the dune I hop out with a camera to film the rest of the guys coming up, and you can see my surprise here as I spot the wheel.
Did the chain snap, Matt?
I don't know.
It was sitting a bit funny this morning, but it wasn't wobbling, so I didn't say
And
anything.
it felt solid. But maybe...
Matt, what is it with
I don't
you
know.
and wanting to change tires in dangerous places?
We need to look for the piece, if it did, so we can try and tether it.
Completely
I'm
off.
sure if that piece broke, it would have been right there.
Yeah, exactly.
So-
So we must look for it.
Is it not under there? You sure?
Yeah.
Well, that seems impossible.
The chain snapped, I think. Oh my word.
Was your back camera on?
I'm committed,
Yeah.
Matt.
It was.
I got that on camera, sorry, Matt.
Yeah, we did.
Mine's under a whole ratchet strap.
This is the chain.
So, I lost a wheel, spare wheel, the one that's sitting underneath, my sixth wheel, while I was going up the dune. So, what happened was, it looks like one of the links of the chain that holds it up just bent open. So if we can get this chain out, which is a mission because it's kind of bulged at the two ends of the wire, we can get it out. We're going to maybe try and use a padlock and just use that to link this thing to the chain, and then we can just hoist the tire back up. But it's easier said than done.
We tried to file off the edges of the chain link so we could get it out, and eventually we have the idea to try and knock it out using a screwdriver as a punch. It helps to have a steel bumper that you can use as an anvil when you need it.
The only thing I don't have...
Jason! One day.
I don't...
Especially.
A padlock replaces the broken chain link, and I'm a little bit concerned about this because padlocks are not very malleable, and there's a good chance it will crack and break if enough force is applied. But it's worth a shot.
Fuss.
So in order to reduce the chances of that happening again, we've actually used the air spring supply control system to increase the pressure in the air springs at the back. It might make our ride slightly harder, but now we've raised the rear of the vehicle slightly higher, so there's less chance of that spare wheel at the back hitting a dune. I mean, honestly, we may have not even needed that spare because we've got a spare already on the back of the canopy camper. But we decided to take 6 tires on this trip just in case because we're in quite a remote area, and because we have a different tire size to everyone else, so you know, if we can't use someone else's spare if something happens, or we could, but it's not ideal. So 6 it is, and it increases the chance of something like this happening. But yeah, thankfully we found a fix, and hopefully, fingers crossed, it holds.
Words can't describe just how remote this part of the world is. I can talk kilometers or hectares and all that, but it's only when you've driven out here yourself that you realize that if something goes wrong, you're on your own. With the dunes starting to thin out, we now found ourselves in the Kalahari bushveld, with a much higher concentration of bushes and trees around us, and the landscape beginning to flatten out. There are some dunes to come, but they are few and far between now.
See, now you're driving like me. You've got some brakes. Just go slowly up. It's pretty. So pretty.
That's fine.
Is line food out, yeah.
Porpoising. Porpoising.
Our lunch spot comes in the form of a patch of shady trees. We're probably about 40% of the way there. So still a long way to go, and it's like 2:30. But I think if we carry on at the same pace, we'll probably get there 5:30, around 6ish, so just before sunset. So fingers crossed we can do that.
We had hardly had a chance to catch our breath the whole day, so it was nice to be able to get out and to be able to enjoy a good meal and take in our surroundings without the constant drone of a diesel engine. Luke and I are curious to experience the chimney life, so we hop in the cockpit.
You comfortable, love?
Maybe you should trade the Hilux in, Matt.
Yo, I don't know.
You guys look cozy in there.
I think the springs might break.
If the fuel price gets a bit higher, then I'll consider this.
I'd actually totally watch a show with you and Luke in a chimney like this traveling across.
We could do a podcast.
That would be so cool.
I was wondering, Matt, you were saying you've got the heaviest vehicle.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
But do you think, like, if you work out, like, proportionally, if theirs is heavier or not, because it's so much smaller and fuller?
Maybe.
Like, I was wondering.
Well, look at it this way. I think Mark and Tina are percentage over their GVM probably higher than everyone else.
Yes, that's.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So we press on. Yeah.
Wait.
Brake.
It's almost 3:30 and we're only about halfway to camp, so we really need to get moving. But thankfully, with the track much flatter now, we can pick up the speed.
There should be a salt pan up ahead and on the left here somewhere.
Some spare parts.
This vehicle, left on the side of the road just a few kilometers before Matopi, serves as a solemn reminder of what can happen if something goes wrong out here. When traveling solo in remote places like this, it's important to carry a fire extinguisher, a grab bag with water and basic supplies, and if possible, a satellite phone. The stickers are pretty cool though. It's nice to see who was here before us.
This is the perfect song for this drive though.
No, it's not. It's about Australia.
Yeah, but it's just about driving in the
No, it's
wilderness.
not.
It is.
Bombay.
You better
You know what Bombay is?
Oh yes.
It's Mumbai.
It's just
Mumbai, love. It's not Mumbai.
no. Well, when I think of the song, the beat, the instruments, it just reminds me of like the wilderness.
Talking about the wilderness, this is where we'll be staying tonight, Matopi. Matopi is, well, it's basically a patch of trees and a flat piece of ground to park and pitch tents. But that's my kind of campsite. I think I'm going to enjoy this place.
Welcome to Matopi. This is our campsite for tonight. It's a beautiful spot here in the middle of the Kalahari bushveld. The sun is probably half an hour away from setting behind us. So we're going to quickly set up camp, make a nice fire here under this shady tree, and just enjoy the evening here. It's a beautiful spot. Long drive tomorrow, long drive today. We left Polentswa about 9:45 this morning, and currently it is 5:45, so a long day's drive, and we were moving pretty quickly on this road as fast as we could go without breaking stuff. So if we'd done this whole Nossob to Mabua road in one day, I think it would have been way too long. So really nice to stop halfway and kind of enjoy this part of the Kalahari, which is very different to what we've experienced so far on the Nossob and Aub riverbeds.
With all the severe shaking and bouncing on our drive today, I'll take some time to inspect some of the bits and pieces that I've added to the camper to see if everything survived. I also check on the load bars, which have had to carry a heavy load in an awkward cantilevered position. It looks like they've held up perfectly. Easy on makes some good stuff.
Absolutely magic.
Magic. Rachel, look inside that little wood. There's a heart.
We've got the whole setting up camp thing down to a T now, and it doesn't take long to get the fire going and to set up a whole camp kitchen with lights and everything we need to prepare another delicious meal.
Tonight we've got something a little bit different to a braai going on, although it will still be cooked over the fire because we're in Botswana. How could we not cook on a fire? So we're going to be doing nachos tonight. Rach is busy sorting out our mince, so I don't know if you want to pan down. We've got some onions in there and garlic, and to that we're going to add about 2 kgs of mince. So we're eating good tonight. I'm making us a fresh salsa, some corn, peppers, tomato, red onion. Here's all of our mince defrosting. Here's all our fresh goodness. Not much more to say other than that right now, but I'm sure you'll see some good shots of the mince cooking soon. It's feeling a lot softer, so cool. We can put it back in fire after we add.
Who reckons don't put the chopping board over the potjie pot because there's sand on the underside?
That's a
Fair point.
Yeah, Luke. We didn't realize how much mince we had, so we had to add more onion. But I feel like it'll all cook in.
We'll just say
Nacho.
Did you add the beans?
Doesn't matter if it's
I don't care what anyone else says, you need a potjie or a good cast iron pot in your packing list. You can do so much in a potjie, and food cooked on the fire just tastes better. While we wait for the food to cook, I'll take some time to get in a weather report for the next few days on my InReach Mini. To be honest, I've got a few bones to pick with Garmin after finding out that their SOS service basically doesn't work in Southern Africa, and after learning that my messages sometimes take a few days to come through. And I'll probably sell this soon and get a proper sat phone, but the weather report is one thing it does do very well. Once again, we find ourselves ending an episode with a delicious meal and a night under the stars of the Southern Hemisphere. We'll be back on the next one with the rest of the BOSO trail as we make our way to Mabuasehube. But for now, cheers, and I hope you enjoyed this one.